Hello, good evening and welcome to Business Live. Coming up, government borrowed 19.90 billion cedis through Treasury Bills in March 2024 as interest rates tumbled by more than 3.6% since the beginning of the year. We have a discussion on the back of this. Also in this bulletin, International Monetary Fund urges Ghana and other low-income countries in Africa to mobilize more taxes in order to close the wide tax to GDP ratio in their respective economies.
So build your tax system, especially focusing on bringing more of the economy in the open. The businesses that are thriving, they have an obligation to the rest of society.
Plus, as the country grapples with power challenges, demand for generators increases, but dealers are unable to meet the demand because of the unstable exchange rate.
With retailers, we can't bring more because of the exchange rates. Because within 2 weeks and 3 weeks ago, the dollar was around 12.6 and now it's around 13.6 to 14.
These and more we have for you. Please stay. Grateful you could be part of the bulletin. I am Pius Kojo Baka. We can now take a look at our stories. Government borrowed 19.90 billion cedis through Treasury Bills in March 2024. This was 17% lower than that of February 2024. However, interest rates have fallen by more than 3.6 percentage points since the beginning of the year, signaling an improving economic environment. More in this report.
From indications, the government will be lowering its appetite for borrowing from the domestic market going forward. Part of the proceeds from the T-bills auctioned in March were used to refinance maturing bills worth 14.47 billion cedis. Importantly, the yields remain on the downward trend with a 91-day, 182-day and 364-day closing lower. Since the beginning of the year, interest rates have fallen by more than 3.6% across the yield curve. Analysts expect a lower pace in yield decline for this month due to the disinflation process and the recent increase in the cash reserve ratio for banks. Last week, the demand for T-bills by investors fell below the Treasury's target as banks with loan-to-deposit ratios below 55% prepared to increase cash reserves to the respective required levels. The government, as a result, got about 50% of the targeted amount.
Let's broaden the discussion further, and joining us via Zoom to do that is a senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amir. Dr. Amir, thanks so much for your time. Now, first off, do you think that this is good news as interest rates continue to trickle down? How critical really is that for government in relation to the cost of borrowing?
Thank you very much. Yes, for every borrower on the market, be it a corporate borrower or a retail borrower like an individual, the decline in interest rate over time is good news for the borrower on the market. What it means is that if you have any business idea, you can, at this point in time, looking at the trend for the past month, forecast that it's going to be much cheaper to borrow now and going forward. So if you are a borrower, it is good news for you. Why? Because the government is gradually giving enough room for other borrowers to come onto the market to also borrow, because the government is reducing the rate at which the government is putting on this instrument, making it a bit cheaper for individuals and corporate borrowers to go onto the market to borrow. So it is indeed a good news.
And you think this could also have an impact on lending rates to the private sector, right?
Absolutely. If you look at the computation of the Ghana reference rate, the T-bill rate has a major role to play as an input factor in the Ghana reference rate. So once we see the decline in the T-bill rate, definitely all things being equal, it should reflect in the Ghana reference rate. And once that declines, cost of borrowing to the borrower, but for the individual's credit riskiness should be low. In the sense that once the TB rate declines, we expect the Ghana reference rate to also decline. you will be able to source for loans at a reduced rate.
Dr. Amir, do you hold the view that we could see a trickle-down effect on inflation ultimately?
If the fundamentals in terms of the factors influencing input prices, and again, the prices that we see on the market keeps declining, definitely we want to see inflation decline. But we need to be aware that in many instances, some of the triggers, look at what is happening now, exchange rate, the CD for about a month now has not been very stable. And if you look at our consumption as a country, our import bill is quite huge. So once the exchange rate affect the input prices, then there's all possibility that producers would like to hike up their prices to make up for the losses that they are recording from the increases in the exchange rate. So until we have a good control on the factors that feed into the market basket that makes up inflation, we are going to have a challenge. But if we are able to get the needed macroeconomic stability, then all things being equal, prices should be lowering going forward. It is possible, but as to whether we will be able to achieve it, I don't know in practice for now.
Thank you very much, Dr. Benjamin Amir. Always a delight to have you on here on Business Live Speak to Us. Now, let's stay longer with the economy because the managing director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, wants Ghana and other low-income countries in Africa to mobilize more taxes in order to close the wide tax to GDP ratio. According to her, a proper tax system will enable low-income countries in Africa to raise taxes from thriving domestic markets. She was speaking at a joint IMF World Bank event named Rising to the Challenge in Davos.
No, we see it that those that are doing better are countries with strong institutions, rule of law, transparency, less corruption. And building those strengths is what nobody but the countries themselves can take on. We know, and this is number one, build institutions and policies so you have strength. Number two, countries can very practically look at where they're falling short in generating the kinds of revenues they need to invest in their people, to invest in infrastructure, to invest in prosperity. And we did an analysis that shows that up to 9% tax to GDP is still for grabs in many countries. So build your tax system, especially focusing on bringing more of the economy in the open. You can't do all of it, but as much as you can. The richer part of the population, the businesses that are thriving, they have an obligation to the rest of society. Quite a number of them have reserves, external reserves, below 3 months of import. And this we take to be the critical level for a country to be able to serve its people. It would be morally wrong and bad for the countries and the world if they're left to struggle with these challenges on their own. For the fund, it is this external capacity. We are balance of payments supporter, so we can provide loans, and we have done it remarkably well.
Stay longer with the IMF because government has suspended or reversed the suspension of the price stabilization and recovery levy on fuel prices because of the conditionalities from the International Monetary Fund. That's according to the chief executive of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, Dr. Patrick Coco Farmers. The reversal has resulted in some significant increase in fuel prices, with diesel reaching almost 15 cedis per litre. Dr. Farmers has been sharing his frustrations about the move on PM Express Business Edition.
I think I don't envy the government and what the MPA recently tried to do by taking off the price tab.
And what is the communication as in the rationale behind it?
Clearly from my intel and what I gathered, because the headmaster is in town.
IMF?
IMF.
IMF is not happy with the
yes, you cannot, because you've submitted your revenue profile where you are going to generate all this from, and 3 months or so into the year, you come back and change a certain guaranteed or assured revenue stream that because either for whatever reason, because our boss wants to look good or his bosses or the government wants to look good, they decided to take something away, which necessarily expose that. We are, I for
But do you think it's a good thing? Because I would say it distorts your whole prices.
The planning, because within 24 hours, the prices have started shaking here and there. There are certain products that if you really are for, and you are signing up for COP, whatever, and all those treaties, then I don't see why we should have taxes or levies on LPG, for instance. I still have a strong view about why have subsidy for premix when you know you can't pay it and you are not even paying it on time, and then those who even imported the PMS, you've not been able to pay them. And if you are to look at the numbers involved with the subsidies that is provided for premise, it doesn't make economic sense.
It appears that the IMF is not happy with this whole thing being taken over, and that's why they had to bring it back. And that's what you picked up as well. But
yes, that is what I picked up.
But that is a major disruption for your business, as you said.
All right, so let's touch on one other developing story we are following up for you as Ghana Cocoa Board prepares to announce an increase in the farm gate price for cocoa farmers. Pressure is being mounted on government to increase the price of the commodity by 150%. The General Agricultural Workers Union, for instance, is of the view that such an increase will not only encourage farmers to produce more, but will also help reduce practices where farmlands are sold to illegal miners. Let's hear from a cocoa farmer, Nana Opambo Boateng Bonso II has joined us via phone for some discussions on this great topic. Thanks so much, Nana, for your time. Now, knowing how important financial well-being of cocoa farmers are, what do you make of this news that Cocoa Board is considering an upward adjustment of cocoa prices for farmers?
Listening to your viewers and listening. I don't think you said something that Cocoa Board is what? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, you said something that Cocoa Board is...
I'm saying that Cocoa Board is considering reducing upward, increasing, I should say, the cocoa price for farmers. And I'm asking whether...
This is not a matter of considering. It is a responsibility. What is consideration about this? And that is not what we are also looking at. We are looking at a liberty for we the farmers to sell our cocoa, like the way Cote d'Ivoire is selling their cocoa. Because even if the bag of cocoa raised to 2,000, it was still not encouraging, with the farmers. Because I think we need more than that. There are a lot of social responsibility that we are supposed to get, which we are not getting. As I'm speaking to you, children still lay down on the ground and write, which I think it is the responsibility of the government to make sure that kids within the various farming communities get a proper structure, get a very good educational structure, like more or less like those in the cities. But we are not having the same thing. We are not even having a proper healthcare system within the various farming communities. When our kids, our wives, and then our children are going to deliver, they die on the road. And these are the major factors. Now, as I'm speaking to you, the cocoa road has been stopped, which most of the various food also we need is supposed to be found. So all those things pop up together that we are calling for our liberty to sell our cocoa by ourselves, like more or less like the previous days or the olden days that cocoa farmers do sell their cocoa. I think when it happens like that, it will rather encourage more people to get into the venture to make more money.
All right, Nana, I don't know where you are, but if you can position yourself for me to have a clear conversation with you on this subject matter. But again, there are calls for the price of the commodity to be increased by 150%. And I'm asking whether it is fair from where you are, looking at the impact this would have on farmers.
Well, there are a lot of things that cocoa farmers have to get, like cocoa farmers' welfare, we are not getting it. So even though they increase that is why I told you that even when they increase the bag of cocoa to 2,000 per bag, farmers will not be still okay because something like our welfare it's not been coming, which is what we the concerned farmers have been fighting for so many years. And at the same time, some of the social things that we need to get, we are not getting from our side. So it's not a matter of increasing the price because Ivory Coast is increasing their price also. It's an international market that the price has increased. So at the end of the day, it is the responsibility of the government to increase it, all right. But then we are calling for our liberty to sell our cocoa by ourselves. That one will make we have more money than government controlling it. Because at the end of the day, the government is spending a lot of money with these weeding guns, with this cocoa mass spraying, with these fertilizers and other things. And yes, still, cocoa is still declining. So what is the problem? So what we are talking about is we need our liberty. If we have our liberty to sell, each and everyone will be serious on it. And government can still make its money by taking taxes from us. Because it is business that we are doing. More or less like government taking the whole control over the cocoa, which they are not taking the proper care of the cocoa tree. As I'm speaking to you, a whole lot of cocoa lands has been given for concession to be destroyed the cocoa, which is a state crop. And government is being mute about that. They're putting wax in their ears as if they're not listening to what is happening. And you are the government. You have the power in a way to stop them. But yes, we are not stopping them. And we, the farmers, are suffering. So at the end of the day, if the price can even go up to whatever that is supposed to go, yes, so we'll be having a problem. But if we have in charge that we are selling our own cocoa, that one, fine. We know how to deal with it because nobody will be giving his land for, how do you call it, the galamsey to go and do it. Because some of the farmers have not even received 20,000 in their whole life before.
All right, Nana, this is a great subject you're also bringing on board, and we shall follow up to the Ghana Cocoa Board on what they make of your concerns. In our subsequent bulletins, we shall bring you more. Thank you so much, Nana, for your time here on Business Life. And that's it for the program. See you next week. I am Pius Kojo Baka. For more stories, do log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Do enjoy your weekend. Bye.